Lord willing and Jesus tarries, 8 days from now, I'm going to be taking you folks into the second term. Wait till you hear the speech tonight, the 303 speech. Great.
If you're thinking you're living in a hyper-political world today, you haven't seen this movie. A movie that was adapted from a book and a first draft script into a brilliant political commentary on the inner workings of the American politics system that is going on behind the veil. A movie that, if you're interested in the American politics system, has to be on your watch list in order to understand that the game is played by people who want to stay in power and they don't care how they do it, just as long as their guy sits on the chair in the Oval Office. But how good the movie is anyway? Let's find out. I'm Meffistoe. Like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie Wag the Dog.
Trade relations.
You're goddamn right, and it's got nothing to do with the B-3 bomber.
There is no B-3 bomber.
I just said that. There is no B-3 bomber, and I don't know why these rumors get started.
Wag the Dog is a movie directed by Barry Levinson and was initially adapted from a book by Larry Bainhart. The initial draft was written by Hilary Henkin, but when Levinson took over the role of director, he brought in David Mamet to do rewrites. Mamet basically rewrote the entire thing, but because he used a little bit of Henkin's draft, she was credited as a writer.
I want the credit.
The story began on the precipice of an election as the current president was caught making advances towards an underage girl in the Oval Office. To avoid a major scandal, a spin doctor, a term that was kind of lost in today's meaning, is hired. His name is Conrad Breen. Breen decides that the best course of action to divert attention is to go to war, but not an actual war.
What'd they find out about the Gulf War? One video of one bomb falls down a chimney, blows up the building. The building could have been made out of Legos.
You really want us to go to war?
That's a general idea.
He hires a Hollywood producer, Stanley Motz, to create an elaborate hoax to make it look like the country is going to war with Albania. Stanley creates fake newsreels, songs, merchandise, and even invents a heroic capture of an American soldier, all to sway the public image of the sitting president and avoiding the real scandal. And all the while, the clock is ticking to the actual election day.
A hero. Oh my God, I can't believe this. What was I thinking? We had a war, we forgot the hero. You can't have a war and not have a hero.
What can I say about this movie without spoiling it too much of the story? The film lets you have a little bit of a glimpse into the backstage of Washington. And even if it was made in 1997 and some of the tricks and movie magic that is going on to create this elaborate hoax was not really available at the time, you could definitely see it happening today with today's technology.
It'll be a kitten.
Can I hold the kitten?
No, we'll punch it in later, right there.
You're gonna punch the kitten later?
Yes,
Why?
Okay,
for a wider set of options.
What was great about this film is the superb writing of David Mamet. It was his foresight to see how the media can be manipulated into selling a story that didn't really happen. To me, this idea of a war that is going on just because I watched it on TV was a concept that started with the first Gulf War, where CNN truly shined for the very first time, showing you the bombings in Baghdad, and it was the first real war that was live on TV for the world to see. That showcase was the idea behind this movie, and for all intents and purposes, worked in the story of this film.
The Gulf War, smart bomb falling down a chimney, 2,500 missions a day, 100 days. One video of one bomb, Mr. Morse. The American people bought that war.
Robert De Niro's character of Conrad Breen is positioned to be the ultimate problem solver, turning every problem, every dead end, every setback into an advantage. But even if he cannot come with a solution, he hires the correct man to do it for him, like Stanley Motz. But Breen is a little bit more than that. He's probably the only one who knows the real stakes of the entire game. He knows the real truth behind the story, and he is honest. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't care about lying to the American people or the American public. Oh no, he is honest with the people he works with. And because he's known for spinning the truth, nobody believes him when he's actually honest.
You can never tell anyone you did this.
What could they do to me?
They'd come home to your house and kill you.
I have to say that my favorite character in this movie is actually Stanley Motz, Dustin Hoffman's character. In a way, he represents all the top movers and shakers of Hollywood. Stanley sees the problem the same way Conrad does. Things can be solved with a little bit of a twist. He is proud that he can turn every little minor or major mishap into something fantastic that looks good on camera and, of course, sells.
3 of the horsemen died. 2 weeks before the end of principal photography. This is nothing. This is nothing. This is just Act One, the war.
One of the greatest scenes in this movie is where Stanley understands the gravity of what Conrad is asking him, and then he switches on to orchestrate this entire hoax using his production buddies to step in and start thinking of things like movie production, including costumes, storylines, and most importantly, marketing and merchandise. But at the end of it all, he doesn't really care about the issue, and none of them do. In fact, they don't even care enough to actually go out and vote on these things.
You've never voted for president?
No. Do you vote?
No. I always vote for the Academy Awards.
One of the most important aspects of this movie is the fact that nobody is mentioning what side the president is on. He's not a Republican, nor he is a Democrat. This is an important detail that sometimes gets overlooked when it comes to the criticism about this movie. It goes to show that deep down inside, it really doesn't matter which side of the aisle the power is on. They all do the same when it comes to political crises. The only time one side or the other is mentioned is close to the end when it seems like the gig is up and there's no way of salvaging the situation. Conrad's assistant blows up on Stanley's face and takes her frustration with him, uncovering a gem of truth about what people really think about Hollywood. And in fact, they're probably right.
Huh? What do we do now, liberal affirmative action shithead, peacenik commie f***? What do you want to do now?
What is great about this movie and what I love about this movie is the dialogue. It is sharp-witted and conveys just enough information without bogging you down with too much detail. The back and forth between Conrad and Stanley is just a delight. I'm always a story and characterization guy first, so getting this great dialogue always puts me in a great mood. I don't know if Hoffman and De Niro got along on set, but I know that they probably had a great time acting off each other. I'll give big props to Anne as Conrad's assistant, Winfred Ames. Out of all the people around her, she seems like she represents us as the audience in this movie. She always asks the questions that we would ask if we were in the room with these people. And when I say these people, I mean those people who sit around in these backroom chairs and play with people's lives and their life choices.
There is no war.
Of course there's a war. I'm watching it on television.
And who might you be when it's all said and done?
My name is Conrad Breen.
Who do you work for?
Nobody whose name you want me to say.
I really cannot recommend this enough times. This movie is worth a watch and a rewatch. And to me, this was the early wake-up call to everything I watch in the established news for decades now. Always looking towards what's behind the headline and beyond what you get fed via the established media. And I hope this wakes you up too, because this is happening everywhere, not just in the US.
The thing with the yellow ribbons?
Yeah, the hostages.
Hostages?
Yeah. They tied the yellow ribbons around everything.
Oh, yeah, but that was a naturally occurring... What, that wasn't put up to?
I thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.